Hello YouTube, this is Mahadeva the OG Thunder Wizard. I'm going to continue rambling about something I'm thinking about a lot lately, which is the difference between achieving enlightenment versus achieving self-realization. What is more important? What does it mean? Before we go any further, I just want you to sit with yourself for a moment and just simply ask yourself a question, which is, are you happy? I've asked that question on one of my other channels, and people got mad at me for asking that question. Just ask yourself one question, are you happy? And people got upset. They said, stop asking that. And but I don't see anything more important than that. Do you? So are you happy? It's okay with me if you're not. I was happy yesterday. Yesterday was my birthday, by the way. Happy birthday to me. I'm a whopping 57 years of age. And I spent the day by myself, and I focused on why I came into existence in this incarnation. And I focused on what my astrology says about that, and I meditated on why I'm here and what I want to accomplish, what I want to leave behind. By the way, when I ask the question, are you happy? I want you to also sit with yourself, because I already see somebody has answered that question. I want you to sit with yourself and ask yourself, does it matter to you what people think? Doesn't matter to me. If I'm miserable, I'm going to tell you I'm miserable. Like as I was saying, I was happy yesterday. Today, I was back and forth. I took a nap, which happens, you know, when I work out really hard the day before. Sometimes the day after, I have to take a nap. And I took a nap this afternoon, and I never wake up happy after an afternoon nap. I always wake up just full of self-loathing, and I don't know why that happens, but it is one of the things that happens. So I'm kind of coming off of that. So you don't feel the need to you just tell me that you're happy, because that's what spiritual people are supposed to say. You're supposed to be happy. I don't need that. I'd have far more respect if you're just honest. But you can be happy. Maybe you are happy. I don't know. If you are happy, what are you looking for in life? What do you want to accomplish? I ask this question because in my experience, most people chase after spirituality because they want to be happy. You know, people, think about the whole reason that people, convert to Christianity and accept Jesus in their life. Because they want to be saved. Saved from what? We could say saved from sin, but really what does that matter? If sinning made you happy and content, you wouldn't need saving. So it must be something else that you want to be saved from. Being unhappy. So we have these terms that we throw around, the religionists have salvation, to be saved. And the great thing about salvation is you don't have to do anything. You just have to make some intellectual ascension to some kind of, ascent, not ascent, but to ascent to some belief system. And then you can be miserable all you want, but that's okay because God has saved you. And you'll be happy later after you die. What a pathetic, worthless life that is. And then there's achieving enlightenment. But it's interesting that you have to achieve enlightenment. So it's got the same feeling behind it. May not think so, but it has the same vibe behind it. You have to prove yourself. In the Christian tradition, a salvation is achieved for you, but somebody has to work because you're a worthless piece of crap, and somebody else has to work really hard, and not just that, they have to give up their life for you so that you can be happy. So somebody has to achieve your enlightenment. But if you don't want to, you come out of that, people will move into the other one, which is achieving enlightenment. So they'll follow some Eastern religion in the hopes of, sorry, I'm adjusting my stuff here. They want to achieve enlightenment. There's this feeling that you don't deserve it now, you have to work for it. And then there's this wonderful phrase called self-realization. And that is just something you just have to come to become aware of. You just become aware of yourself. You realize. But the term realization also can be thrown into that category of, that realization, it's a process. You have to work hard to realize yourself. But what is it you want to achieve? What is it you think you're going to achieve by, I should say, what do you think you're going to get? What do you think you're going to get by achieving enlightenment or becoming self-realized? I think it all comes down to the same thing. Happiness. I'm thinking a lot about this because, I want everything every other human wants. I want to be happy. I've had ups and downs in my life. I can honestly say there was a period for about 1 year in my life where I was completely fulfilled. That I could honestly say, I would wake up in the morning and I would say, there's really nothing that I need. I have absolutely everything and I am completely, ecstatically, blissfully fulfilled. Only lasted for about a year. And it came in something I never, ever thought would bring me satisfaction, which was a relationship. I never thought it was possible. To be honest, I thought relationships, they're great for, because you need to have sex and you need somebody to, sort of, help you balance your budget and, drive you to the airport and, you get lonely and you need somebody to hang out with, and But the idea that I could achieve total, complete personal fulfillment in a relationship, I didn't think that was in any way possible. And earlier in life, I was a religionist, and I wanted to achieve salvation through belief in Jesus and following that. And I used to, I was one of those guys that went on the street and preached and all that when I was really young. And then, of course, I walked away from that nonsense, and then I got involved in real power. I found out what real spiritual power was, and I got involved in a very esoteric sect of Taoism and learned this forbidden magical power that, and the universe has a ton of power that you can tap into, which of course I teach in a lot of different ways. If you're not familiar with my channel, if you're just coming onto this and you haven't bothered to put the time and energy into looking on my channel, go look at the Qigong, Qigong. Go watch that. Start doing some of that stuff. Start doing some of the meditations, and you can feel the power of the universe. And they had this this goal, which was not to become saved. It wasn't to achieve enlightenment. They wanted to achieve immortality, and they wanted to become a god. They wanted to become an immortal. And people who did that achieved all kinds of crazy things, and they would build up the energy vibration in the cells of their body to such a degree that, at least this was the theory, that boom, you phased out of existence, at least physical existence, and you were sort of like the way Jesus is portrayed in the New Testament, where you can appear and disappear and walk through walls and that kind of stuff. You're not human, but you're not. And then of course there's Buddhist enlightenment, where to be honest, I don't even really understand what that's all about, where you achieve this sort of middle ground. Sounds kind of boring. You achieve nirvana, which is sort of this boring state of you don't have any feelings, but you're not upset about anything. And I have to be honest, my experience is a lot of people, not everybody. My teacher is, practices Tibetan Buddhism, and I don't put him in this category, but a lot of Buddhists that I run into, and when I hear a lot of Buddhists talk, it just seems to me like they're just trying to avoid their pain. They're running away from their pain. I made a video about what I think, why people are destined to become Buddhists in their life, in any incarnation. And then there's this idea of achieving enlightenment, where somehow, and does anybody really know what that means? Where you achieve this full enlightenment, and a lot of people think they're going to be in this state of bliss. And I don't really know what it means. People think they achieve enlightenment, they won't have any problems anymore, and they won't have any of this and any of that, and they won't have any bad feelings, but do you know anybody that's ever achieved that? I know there's a lot of teachers out there, a lot of gurus out there who allow themselves to be portrayed this way. I would love to throw out some names right now, but I'm not going to. That's a lesson I've learned. I've learned not to do that. That even if I'm right, it's okay to talk about people who've passed away. Yogi Bhajan, the guy who, brilliant teacher, came up with what he called Kundalini Yoga, which was really an amalgamation of a bunch of different East Indian things, including Sikhism and yoga and other Hindu stuff. And he no doubt learned from some masters. There's no doubt in my mind about that. I know that he achieved a great level of power. I've talked with his very first students here in the States, and they said, no, he had real power. But now we know he did some really horrible things. He really hurt, and like criminally. I'm not going to get into it, but I've talked about Carlos Castaneda, another brilliant, absolutely brilliant shaman who absolutely channeled divine teachings. I mean, I love a lot of what he teaches. But he was a fraud. And he was also extremely destructive and a cult leader. There's a few others, but to my knowledge, I think they're still alive. Is Osho still alive? I don't think Osho is alive. Osho, same guy. He was a drug addict. People loved him. Still love him. But those people, I've never met anybody. I've never met anybody who was truly enlightened. There's been people who pretended to be enlightened, who may have believed that they were enlightened. I know somebody else personally who allowed other people, now he himself would deny it, but he allowed other people to claim that he was a bodhisattva, that he, of course, had enlightened. There's another guy, very popular guy. He won't say it, but he lets everybody else say it for him. I have a problem with that. As a teacher, I have a real problem with that because I think it prevents students from becoming self-realized. There's that old saying that says, if you meet Buddha by the road, kill him. And that means that if, Buddha, who is supposed to be completely enlightened, if you were to meet him, the assumption is you would meet him and you would go, oh my God, that's true enlightenment, and you'd forget about your own enlightenment. You'd spend your whole time worshiping somebody else who had done the work. Odin is a wonderful example of enlightenment because Odin sacrificed himself to himself and achieved knowledge of the secrets of the universe, the runes. And he's a great example, because if we follow his example, we can accomplish what he accomplished. So I've been sharing with you my one of my recent new heroes, who is somebody whose name was called Tatwale Baba. He's no longer alive. I have no idea if anything that is said about him is true. I've listened, you can find it on YouTube. I've listened to him talk, of course, translations of him talking, supposedly. Supposedly he died, he was 90 something years of age and looked like he was 35. No idea if that's true or not either. But, just some guy that lived in a cave and wore a diaper and, had a stick, and that was it. And he talked about the self. He talked about when you find yourself, that you will have happiness. That's the way it was translated anyway. And he says, once you've achieved that, once you've realized that, once you've realized yourself and you're in touch with yourself, you don't need anything else. You don't need anything outside of you, and it doesn't matter where you are or where you go. You'll have everything. And I really like that. And my teacher talks about the difference between your authentic self and your conditioned self. And I share a story that he shared with us, which I changed the name because I can't remember the name that he gave, but he tells this story about, I'm going to call him Zoltar's suit. And there was a man who was told by everybody, you got to go get a suit made by this tailor Zoltar, this master tailor. You got to go get a suit by this guy. So he goes to Zoltar and he says, hey, Zoltar, I'd like a suit to be made. And Zoltar, measures him and, blah, blah, blah. Says, okay, come back in a week and I'll have your suit ready for you. Guy comes back and puts on the suit and it doesn't fit. Like one of the sleeves is way up here and the hem is like really like too low in the back and it just doesn't fit. And he's looking at it in the mirror and he says, Zoltar, no disrespect, but this suit doesn't fit. And Zoltar just flies off the handle. He says, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that suit. You're standing wrong. He says, yeah, but Zoltar, look at the sleeve. It's way up here. And he says, you're standing wrong. And he gets behind him and scrunches his shoulder up and shoulder down like that. And, then sure enough, the sleeve fits, but you have to stand like this. And he goes, okay, but Zoltar, there's this, the back of it is just way too, and he says, there is absolutely nothing wrong with the suit. You're standing wrong here. And he hunches him over. So he's hunched over and he's like this. And then he says, see, it fits perfectly. And sure enough, everything, fit perfectly as long as he scrunched his shoulders and leaned over. And so feeling guilty, this was Zoltar after all, this world-renowned suit maker. And he goes out on the street and he has to limp like a hunchback down the street in order to make it fit, in order to be able to walk. And somebody says, oh my God, you've got that. You had Zoltar make you a suit, didn't you? And he says, how did you know this was made by Zoltar? And he says, because no other tailor in the world could make such a perfectly fitting suit for somebody as broken and deformed and crippled as you are. And so in order to make the suit fit, he had to be a cripple. And the idea is that we've been programmed, we've been conditioned to have a self that we identify with. And what I believe what Tatwale Baba is saying is that when you find out who you are, your soul, you find out who your soul is, you no longer have to wear the suit that was made for you. So when I was 7 years old, I've shared this story numerous times, but I'm reminded of this. When I was 7 years old, for some reason, I don't know, I all of a sudden became very depressed. I was like overcome with this feeling of sadness, and I started having this feeling. I was a Christian then. I was born in a Christian home. I had this feeling that Jesus didn't love me. I don't know where that feeling came from, but this feeling that Jesus didn't love me. And all day I just went around thinking, God, that's so horrible. Jesus doesn't love me. And I went to bed, and sometime during the night, I had a dream, but it was the most realistic experience I've ever had. The experience in that dream is more real than this right here. Much more real than this. And I felt myself getting pulled out of my body. And I felt myself floating up through the atmosphere. And I could feel myself floating up through the Earth's atmosphere. And I was hearing all of the chatter. It was like I was hearing everybody's self-talk. And there was just, everybody was so wrapped up in themselves. Gosh, like mine, Jesus doesn't love me, the world this, and my wife is this, and I wish I were thinner, and I should make more money, and all of the feelings and thoughts, and it was just like getting on me, and it was gunky, and it was like as I was floating up, and then I floated up out of the Earth's atmosphere, and it's like I popped through this bubble, and I didn't feel any more of that, and I was just in this emptiness, and I kept on floating up, and then I started seeing this off in the distance, this bright white light. And I started going closer and closer. Like everything you hear about people when people die and all that same kind of thing. I was going towards this white light. And the light was really, really, really bright. And it got brighter and brighter. And I just got pulled into it. And then I was pulled inside of the light. And the orgasmic bliss, it was more than I could handle. I was 7 years old. I'd never had an orgasm before, but holy crap, that was the most orgasmic light that I had. It was just pure bliss. People want to say love. It wasn't just love. It was bliss. And I felt myself just completely like explode from the inside out. And in my little 7-year-old lingo, I said, a smile went all the way across my face. And I said the light was so bright that if I were to look at it with my real eyes, my eyeballs would burn out of my skull. That's what I said when I came out of it. It was that intense. And I was just filled with this. I wasn't filled with bliss. I had exploded and become this infinite bliss. And I heard myself saying, I'm home, I'm home, I'm home. And of course, my thought was that I was in Jesus because I was a Christian. Now, the light didn't tell me who or what it was. That was just my thought. Oh, I must be with Jesus right now. And then, very gently and very lovingly, it released me. And I started drifting away, and I was screaming, no, 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 I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back to that place. No, don't send me back. I was so sad. The light was fading. And then I dropped down back through the atmosphere, and I'm hearing all the people's self-talk of, who they are and who they're supposed to be, and I'm getting it all on me. And then I back in my body, and I woke up, and it was morning. Now, of course, being the good little Christian I was, I thought that, Jesus had told me that he loved me. So I went around telling people I saw Jesus. It wasn't until years and years later when I walked away from Christianity that I went, wait a second, that light never said it was Jesus. But I'll tell you what I think that light was. I think that light was my own soul. That I had gone into that place that Tatwala Baba talks about, which is your true self, what my teacher calls the authentic self. And so clothed We have to wear a suit. We have to. If we don't wear a suit, we're naked. We can't go out, at least in most countries in the world, you can't go out naked. You have to wear something. And what you're wearing is your identity. It's who you are. Now, each one of us is given a suit by Zoltar. Zoltar makes a suit for all of us. A suit that not only that he demands that you wear, that he makes perfectly for you as long as you conform yourself to it, but other people will praise you for wearing the Zoltar suit. Your conditioned self that you think you are. The conditioned self for me is when I take an afternoon nap, that when I wake up, and I tell you, I hate taking, I love napping. I just, falling asleep and taking a nap is the greatest thing in the world. But waking up, I just, it's okay to wake up in the morning. Waking up in the afternoon, I just feel like such a piece of garbage. I feel so worthless and horrible, and nobody loves me, and I'm all by myself, and I'm such a loser. All that. I just wake up to all that. It's horrible. That's Zoltar's suit. That's the suit that my parents and I made for me. It was my identity. So you have your suit that you wear, and the world thinks it's a really wonderful thing. They praise you. They go, "Oh my God, your suit looks so amazing." But it's not who you are. Who you are is that bright light that is made of orgasmic bliss. And you don't have to do anything to get it. You don't have to, nobody has to die for you to have that. You don't have to achieve, work through all of your karma. You don't have to, have your sins forgiven. Karma is self-created. Nobody creates it for you. Nobody plants it on you. There's no God up in heaven that's writing down all of the Santa Claus isn't writing down all the good and bad things you do and then pasting it on you. It's completely self-created. I've shared on here, I have an older brother I haven't seen or talked to in, has to have been 8 years probably since I've had any interaction with him. I think 10 years ago, had to have been 10 years ago was the last time I saw him. And he threatened to shoot me. He said he'd been planning on killing me. And I said, you know what, I'm done. I'm done with you guys. And I haven't had any. He called me once after that along, and the phone call didn't last very long. I said, listen, I'm not having any discussion with you until you apologize for threatening to shoot me, in which case he came up with some excuse and then hung up. But last I heard, he was homeless and sick and injured and panhandling. And not only that, but he didn't even have identification. He still had his truck. He was living in his truck, but for some reason he didn't have any identification. And I don't know how that happens. We grew up in the same house. You walk by people like that, and you think to yourself, how did they ever get there? And you come up with some ideas about, he and I grew up in the same house. How did he end up there? That was his suit. He really identified with his suit and never took it off. Very sad. And for me, it's unnecessary. There's no reason why he couldn't, be a very happy, successful, prosperous person. There's no reason for it that I can think of other than self-imposed karma. So when I ask you the question, are you happy? I'm not asking you from that everything is love and light and are you happy or do you love Jesus? And I don't even want to know. I'm not there with you. You don't have to prove anything to me. I'm not at all interested in, I don't have any agenda on whether you're happy or unhappy. I'm just wanting you to ask the question. What is the most important thing in your life? I say this because, I talked about the other guys, the Taoist guys that I trained with who achieved some really amazing things. And my teachers were very, very powerful people that could do things that were beyond human comprehension. I got to a point when I was training hard, like I was training 4 hours a day, doing energy work and meditating and stuff like that, and I could do crazy stuff. I mean, I had to be careful when I touched people, literally, because people would fall to the floor crying, or they'd have all kinds of crazy things happen, and all kinds of weird stuff, and because I had built up my energy to such a degree. But I wasn't happy. There was a deep emptiness within me. All that energy didn't accomplish anything. And when I saw that these, I didn't, maybe there was somebody in the sect, at some point, but I'm thinking of 3 different people in the sect who achieved a lot of power, and they were not happy at all. They were very unhappy. They were miserable. They're some of the most miserable, insecure, unconscious people I ever met. So the idea of achieving enlightenment, that's lost all credibility for me. You can meditate and tell your heart's, I don't give a crap. Until you're able to levitate and walk through walls, that doesn't mean anything. Are you happy? According to Tatwale Baba, happiness is when you just simply realize who you are, your true self. So it sounds really simple, and I suppose it is. Just realize who you are. But I had that dream when I was 50 years ago. 50 years ago. Holy crap, I've been on this planet over half a century. Holy crap. How is that even possible? And I haven't gotten to that place where I'm in that kind of crazy, orgasmic bliss I haven't achieved that yet. But I definitely know that that's all that needs to happen. If I'm able to just simply take off the suit and just be myself. Now, as easy as that sounds, I can also tell you, having been on this planet 57 years, and I have been in some kind of very intense self-analysis, spirituality, therapy, something for at least 40 years of that. And that's not including all the religious stuff beforehand. And I can tell you that it's no easy feat to honestly ask yourself your feelings, your motivations. This is what consciousness is. People talk about achieving consciousness. And when I say that, achieving consciousness, what do you think that means? Do you think achieving consciousness is opening your third eye and seeing, all of the dimensions, or seeing the truth? Horseshit. That's not consciousness. Consciousness is knowing all of your selfish, fucked up motivations for everything that you say and do. That's consciousness. Consciousness is when you can look somebody in the face and honestly say, yeah, in this moment, I really want to take advantage of you and, have you do this, or I want you to love me and make me feel better, or I want to steal your car, or, when you can honestly look somebody in the face, maybe you shouldn't do this, and be completely aware of what your motivations are, no matter how screwed up they are. Or when you can honestly tell somebody how much you care about them, even when it makes you feel vulnerable. Or when somebody on YouTube asks you, are you happy? Can you honestly tell the truth without fear of being judged and without judging yourself. My definition of enlightenment is this. So enlightenment and self-realization, I'm not saying they're the same thing. Enlightenment is a prerequisite for self-realization, but it's not self-realization. Enlightenment is nothing more than being completely aware of all of your thoughts and feelings, no matter happy or sad, good or bad, challenging or pleasant. All of your really disgusting motivations. You know, Shiva is a really wonderful god, and Shiva, he walks around in the graveyard and he's followed by prostitutes, thieves, murderers, criminals. You know, the worst of the worst. I mean, I won't even say how horrible. Those are the people that follow Shiva around, because Shiva has no judgment. Why? Shiva is full awareness. Shiva represents full awareness. You know, we've got other types of deities like Buddhists. Who are the people that follow Buddhists? The very intellectual, self-analyzing meditators. Who are the people that follow Krishna? You know, people who they're almost born-again Christians. They're almost exactly the same. If you listen to a Krishna devotee talk about Krishna, and if you just simply replace Krishna with Jesus, there's no difference. It's all about, forget about me, Krishna is everything, and I'm nothing, and Krishna is everything. They don't want to achieve self-awareness. They want to achieve Krishna consciousness. So we got those people running around. But enlightenment is having full conscious awareness of all of the messed up and happy and frightening feelings that you have at any given moment. And then, now that's not full consciousness, or maybe we can call that consciousness. Enlightenment would be having all of those thoughts and feelings, and even having really strong impulses. Because it's one thing to have feelings, and impulses is another thing. An impulse is that irresistible thing, you know, like if you got an itch and you got to itch something. That impulse, you know, I just became aware of all the things on that itch on my body. The impulse that you have to follow. You can't even, not even any thought behind it. It's just an impulse that forces you to take action. Enlightenment is having full consciousness of all of your thoughts and feelings, and not just seeing them from afar, but actually having them, feeling them, embracing them, fully allowing yourself the full experience of pain, sadness, happiness, anger, bliss, joy. Like I said, when I experienced that bliss, it was challenging. I mean, it felt irresistible, but there was a part of me that felt like I was dying. I didn't want it. It was, you know, I was exploding from the inside out. It wasn't necessarily pleasant. Having all of your thoughts and feelings. I remember the first time I got a car. I got a truck. It was remember when they made Toyota trucks back in the early 80s, and they were these indestructible little tin cans, you know, the manual transmission. That thing ran and ran and ran. I didn't even have to put any oil in it or anything. It just, you know, it didn't have anything. Didn't have any air conditioning. Didn't have, you know, no electric anything. It was just a tin can. But man, the thing just went forever. I was so happy when I got that truck that the happiness was more than I could handle, and I wanted it to stop because I was so happy that I got my first car. Enlightenment is having all of your thoughts and feelings and impulses, and then having the conscious awareness and the ability to take constructive action regardless of whatever feelings you have. That is enlightenment. You cannot be more enlightened than that. You can't do it. That's it. Knowing how to take constructive action for yourself and everybody else, regardless of all of the thoughts and feelings and impulses that you currently have. Do you know anybody that can do that? I don't think I can do that yet. Do you know anybody that can do that? And then there's self-realization. So first you have to achieve enlightenment, which means being able to be honest and do the work to uncover all of your defense mechanisms. Zoltar's suit has built within it defense mechanisms against self-awareness. Why? Because if you became fully aware of yourself, you wouldn't follow the crowd. Now, before any of you who think that, oh yeah, I'm a rebel, I don't follow anything. No, that's your suit too. That's part of your suit. Satanists, perfect example. And I'm not talking about the fabled Satanists that, eat children and do all that kind of stuff. But, the actual like people who follow the, there's a few satanic religions out there. And if you know anything about them, they actually are really just about rebelling against the hypocrisy and the constrictions of Abrahamic Christianity. Like there's that one sect of Satanists that go around whenever, somebody, some town wants to use city funds or federal funds to put up, a Ten Commandment statue or plaque or something. They will then go and file a lawsuit to be able to put up a statue of Satan. And they say, well, it's freedom of religion. Our Constitution guarantees us freedom of religion. And if you are going to take city funds and use it to put up Abrahamic religion, then we have the right to get our own money together, and we have the money because they have like a fund, and we're going to put up a statue of Satan right next to it so that people have at least an option. And you can put up, you have to be willing to put up a statue or a plaque of any religion that, is represented in that city. And of course, then that lawsuit then will get rid of the Ten Commandments. But I find that religion kind of silly because that in order to believe in Satan, you first have to believe in God and Jesus. Because without God and Jesus, there is, Jehovah and Jesus, there's no Satan. So that's part of your suit. No, I'm a rebel. I'm a Satanist, and I don't do any of that. You're still reacting. That's still a reaction to the suit. You're still wearing it. But when you are able to take the suit off, you get to become your authentic self. And that becomes the discovery. And so who is that? And unfortunately, very few people are born into this world that have an ability to just from the get-go know who they are, from their authentic identity. And that's one of the reasons we come here. That's part of the fun. We come here so that we can, experience that challenge. By the way, speaking of challenge, 90-day challenge, go to thunderwizard.com. That's what this is all about. This is my, instead of me talking at you, I do it with you. I do practices, and you can do them along with me every day to find your soul. And when you find your soul, what your soul wants to do, which is your joy, and anybody can do it, anybody. You might have some difficulty. Some people might get confused. If they're honest, if I say, what is it that gives you the greatest joy? Some people might get confused. Or some people might ask me really ridiculous questions like a couple of people have asked me, which is, what if somebody's sole desire is to be bored and miserable? Nope. Where's the joy in that? No, your soul is pure joy. So when you connect to your soul wants to do something. And when you connect to what your soul wants to do, even if it's just for a brief second, you're going to experience some joy when you realize what it is you want to do. And whatever it is you want to do is not the thing itself. Like for me, it's surfing. Surfing isn't it. There will come a time, either in this life or in some life, when I will finally get that out of my system and I won't need to surf anymore. But for now, I need to surf so I can get connected to that joy which connects me to my true path and all that other stuff. But once you find that, you get aligned with that joy, you then have to start taking action towards it. But when you take action towards it, the suit gets in the way. And then you have to make the decision. You start realizing how attached you are to the suit, and you have to get rid of it in order to keep going. And it's not an easy thing. It can be a really traumatic experience. Letting go of the false identity that even if it's really destructive. People, I'm telling you, this is my belief, this is what cancer is. Maybe a bunch of other things. Cancer is the result of somebody fighting with their between their suit and their soul. And when you choose the suit over the soul, the body gets sick. I truly believe this. If this guy Tatwale Baba really existed and he died at 94 or whatever it was and he looked like he was 35, it's because he, like he says, I know who I am and I operate from my true self and I'm happy all the time. And that happiness gives him connection to the life force energy I know that I've experienced. You can experience it too if you do the Qigong. That life force energy of the universe that feels good and gives you power. If you are connected to your soul, you're already 100% lit up. You don't need it. I haven't got there yet. I still got to do the work. I still got to do the mantra meditation and the Qigong and all the other stuff in order to get the energy flowing. I have to do other things like eat right and go to the gym and exercise. Otherwise, I start losing it because the suit starts to take over. All right, I've done enough babbling. This is a question and answer. I know there's only a few people on. It's the middle of the night everywhere. I will take questions. I'm only interested in your honest question. Truth is freedom. You continue to contradict yourself. Well, then why are you wasting your time? Here's my question to you. Since you know more than I do, obviously, because you can see that I'm contradicting myself, why are you even watching? I mean, if I was on YouTube and I'd come across somebody's channel, and you've been on for a while because I can see you're still right, you've written 2 or 3 things. Why are you wasting your time? It's okay with me if you know more than I do. I just don't understand why you're wasting your time. Go watch somebody you like. Better yet, truth is freedom. You obviously know what the truth is. Why aren't you on your channel right now doing a live stream telling people the truth? Why aren't you writing books telling people what the truth is? Why are you wasting your time not only watching some guy who, according to you, is contradicting himself and is delusional? Why are you wasting your time listening to him and then you put the energy into just give out that? I mean, let's face it, that's kind of a pathetic. I mean, you're not bothering to tell us what the truth is. So help us out. I mean, is that the best you can do? Just point fingers and say something critical? Guess not. Raymond Avich question. Is there any way to know how close you are to achieving your soul desire? Yeah. Let me finish the question. Is there any way to know how close you are to achieving your soul desire when you feel like you are blocked or you are thinking about ideas that come from your ego? Well, first off, welcome to the human race, because as I've said, that's what everybody does. That is the reason we come here. We come here for 2 reasons only. Again, Raymond, I don't know how to pronounce your name. First off, it makes me want to ask you, have you read my book, The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life? Have you watched the videos or watched me read my book on that? Have you done any of the things. I've seen your name on here. Get into the work. Go do the qigong, go do the rituals, go do the meditations. If you have read the book, then you know there's a very simple process to discover what your soul desire is. But based on your question, I mean, I assume you haven't achieved it yet, because if you did, you wouldn't ask that question. So what you're saying is, let me read it again. Is there any way to know how close you are? What difference does it make how close you are? That's like saying how close you are to achieving orgasm, but you don't. You could be this close, but if you don't achieve it, it's just frustrating. So being close or far away is meaningless. It's not one of those things that, achieving your soul desire, it sounds like your assumption is if you achieve your soul desire, it'll all be okay. It'll all go away. Achieving your soul desire and knowing what your soul desire are two different things. But before you achieve it, you first have to know what it is. Based on what you're saying, is there any way to know how close you are to achieving your soul desire when you feel like you are blocked or you are thinking about ideas that come from your ego? So you're blocked, which means that you don't know what your soul desire is. Now, you're coming to the conclusion that you're thinking about your ego, and there's guilt. I can already feel the guilt. You feel guilty for having an ego, and you should have no guilt about it. You have to have an ego in order to survive. The thing to do is to take your ego and just align it to what your soul wants. That's all you have to do. There's nothing wrong with having an ego. So it's pretty clear to me, based on that question, that you don't know what your soul desire is, and that's okay. Most people don't. And we come here for two reasons. Our soul incarnates because it has a desire. And it can only achieve that desire in limited three-dimensional reality. So that's why you came here. But then you've set it up so that you have to realize what that is. And there will be some karmic, which will be old ideas from the past. The parents that you've chosen will be people who will fit you with a suit based on your karmic issues. Your karmic issues are nothing more than you went after something other than your soul. You went after fame or physical pleasure. I have nothing against that either. I have nothing against fame either. But you went for something that wasn't your soul, and it built up this karmic delusion or misunderstanding about reality, and you brought that with you into this lifetime. Your soul still wants to do what it wants to do, but in order to do that, you have to get past that. So your parents or your upbringing are going to tempt you. I'll give you an example. Today, yesterday was my birthday, and I really wanted to just focus on why I'm here, and I'm thinking a lot about this whole wearing the suit and my honest self. And I have really great landlords. I mean, I came here, as a tourist, and, COVID sort of stuck me here for the time being. And I have this house that I'm Airbnb-ing, which is really great because I didn't have to put down a down payment or any other stuff like that. The deposit or the normal stuff, or sign a lease. And after I'd been here for a while, I said, I really like it here. Can I stay? I'm going to be here for a year. Can you just let me, and we worked out a weekly rental thing, which after the conversion is like less than what I would pay for anyway. It's a really great deal. Anyway, bottom line is they're really great people. They come here and they mow the lawn, and they're constantly fixing things, and it's like I feel like a king. And there are these people, and they're coming and they're making my my castle prettier all the time. And they came by, and for some reason I was feeling like really nervous, like they're going to find out something I did wrong, or I didn't sweep, or I didn't do something like that. And normally I give them wads of cash, for rent, but I've already paid up for this month. So they said goodbye, and she said, but I'm disappointed. And I got so scared, like, oh my God, how did I disappoint her? And I said, how? She said, because you're not giving me wads of cash. And then we laughed, but I felt so messed up, like I had done something wrong, like I was a bad boy. And then I'm like, you're 57 years old and you're worried that you're like some bad kid that did something wrong because you didn't clean up your room or something stupid like that. And I became, oh my God, that's the suit. You wear the suit in order to get love from the world, parents, other people. So the two things: you're here to find out what your soul wants and to go do it. And the way you know what your soul wants is when you think about it, it gives you joy. So to answer your first question here, is there any way to know how close you are to achieving your soul desire? If you haven't come to realize the joy of knowing what it is that you want, if you haven't come to that realization yet, then you don't know what your soul desire is. But the good news is that anybody can come to that conclusion at any point in time if you're honest. So again, I want to direct you back to those videos where I walk you through the how to achieve the shamanic secret commandment to a perfect life, and I take you through the questions. I hesitate doing that right now because you should have been able to do that. Now, if you go through those questions and you still don't know what brings you joy, it means that you're in conflict. You're still trying to achieve making something or somebody else happy, and your soul and your human desire to be accepted and loved is in conflict, which creates confusion. And that's okay. Everybody experiences that. So the first thing you need to do is get rid of the guilt and know that you're just as human as everybody else. This is why people should have a session with me. If you have an hour session, I can almost guarantee you that I will help you find out what your soul desire. I can't guarantee that you'll pull it off, but I can't think of one time where I haven't helped somebody. There was one person where we found out what she really wanted, and then she decided not to do it and said, yeah, I'm not going to do that. It was so sad because she was basically saying, yeah, I'm just going to make myself miserable. I'm just not willing to go through the, whatever she thought was the problem. She didn't believe that she deserved it. So I don't know if I answered your question or not. So truth is freedom. I'm bored already. I'm not interested in listening to you criticize me. And again, it's hurtful to hear, and I don't know what you're accomplishing. In all seriousness, this is for you. Just what are you accomplishing by that? Does this make you feel better? Does this help you? How are you helping anybody by doing this? So I'm going to put you and I both out of our collective misery, and I'm going to hide you on the channel. You can watch, but you won't get to comment anymore. And again, my suggestion for you is it's okay with me if you know more than I do. It's okay with me that you know the truth and I don't. But what saddens me is that you're not taking positive action. You're not on your channel telling people the truth, writing books, teaching classes, making yourself available to others. The only thing that you seem capable of doing right now is just criticizing somebody else, and that's pretty sad. I feel sad for you. And was that your intention? To have me feel pity for you? Because that's all I'm going to feel as I hit this button, which will now prevent you from spreading your self-directed negativity on the rest of us. So see you later. All right. Let's see here. Slim Mill question. I just opened my third eye. How do you know that? What does that mean? You opened your third eye and I feel pressure in the area and feel really spiritual and full of energy. Does it open fully first time? First off, what do you think opening your third eye is going to accomplish for you? Assuming you're right. Let's assume you're right. You've opened your third eye. What do you think that's going to do for you? If you watched me earlier in this video, I talked about, there was a point where I had achieved all kinds of crazy powers from doing all kinds of stuff. Maybe my third eye was open, whatever. To be honest, I could give a crap if my third eye is open or closed. It just doesn't, I don't have any attachment to that anymore. But, I talked about how that didn't bring me happiness, and my teachers who were very powerful. They didn't have happiness. So has your third eye given you happiness in your life? Here's how you know that you've accomplished something spiritually. Spiritual achievement always has a practical result. When you are spiritually aligned, you will be happier, you will be healthier, you will be prosperous, meaning you will be able to pay your bills, you will be able to eat and pay rent, you will have good relationships with others, you will be comfortable within yourself. Have you achieved that? Has, according to you, you just opened your third eye. Has that happened for you? If so, I am very happy for you. I have no need to do it myself. But if that's what's important to you, I'm happy for you. But if you have a spiritual experience and you feel spiritual and full of energy, but you have chaos in your life or money problems or health problems or relationship problems or other things, then opening your third eye is meaningless. It's an experience. You know, listen, I go to the gym and when was the last time I measured my arms? I don't know. They were pretty big. So what? You go to the gym, you lift weights, your muscles get big. You go and do, I don't know what you did to open your third eye. Some people, take drugs and think they've opened their eye. Some people do, like I did, meditations and mantra, and they feel that pressure. I know exactly what you're talking about. You feel that pressure in this area, and you think that you've opened your third eye. Is it giving you a better life? If it has, congratulations. But then you ask the question, does it open fully the first time? You're making an assumption that there's multiple times, and you're making a value judgment about, if it's fully open or only partially open. And do you hear the status? Like, I've opened, because you could say, I've opened my third eye fully. I've achieved this spiritual. Well, my third eye's only half open. Do you feel the ego attached to it? The reputation? It's meaningless. And again, there's all kinds of questions that I would want to ask you. How did you do it? How do you know it happened? What difference does it make? Listen, I've done all those kinds of things, and there are things that I do to feel good, energy-wise, and I could brag about them, except that I've done all that, and it's really not all that important anymore. And so I'm not against it. I'm not against anything that makes you feel good. I'm not against anything and achieving anything. There's a discipline to, assuming you did it through some kind of meditation practice, congratulations for you having the discipline to go pull that off. I have nothing against that, but it's ultimately meaningless. There's only one thing that matters is, are you happy? So I don't have any answers to your questions because you assume that you and I are on the same page of what opening the third eye is. You and I, you assume that we're on some assumption about there's a meaning to it, and there's only, for all I know, you did some kind of thing and there's just a bunch of, energy, blood, because if you focus on something long enough, the blood will go there and it'll feel full. And for all I know, that's all that happened. So I'm sorry, I don't have an answer to your question. I hope that didn't hurt your feelings, but I'm glad you did it. Keep doing it if it works for you, but ultimately that doesn't mean anything, in my experience. Lorena Greco, question: are spiritual practices necessary to achieve your soul desire? It's a good question. The same guy, Tatwale Baba, who achieved self-awareness and said that he achieved a bliss and a happiness from being, aligned with his true self. He said that once you get to that place, you don't need to do anything. You don't need to do mantra, meditation. You don't have to have a guru. You don't have to do yoga anymore. But then he went on to say, for those that have not realized themselves, you do have to have a discipline. The discipline, and I could go off on that, why that works. But he says, for those that haven't, it's really important to do that until You become aware of yourself, and then you don't have to do it anymore. So I would say yes. Achieving your soul desire. Again, you've got becoming aware of your soul desire, which I guarantee everybody on the planet at some point in their life, even if it was for a split second, became aware of their soul desire. It's impossible for that not to happen. It probably happens more often than not, but you talk yourself out of it. And you then forget about it. And when I ask you, you say, I don't know what my soul desire is. The truth is, you do. You're just in conflict. You don't know, you can't tell the difference between making the world happy and making yourself happy. That's the only way people can be confused. So are spiritual practices necessary? Yeah, that's why if you've been on my channel, go watch my videos. I've got no shortage of videos that teach Qigong, meditation, mantra, all kinds of stuff, because those things, tapping into the life force energy of the universe, allows you to have the energy to take action on your soul desire. So let me be clear. That's what all of that is about. Mantra, meditation, yoga, tai chi, qigong. It is all designed to align your unconscious and give you the power and the motivation to have the discipline to take action on your soul desire. Why do you need that? Because Zoltar's suit will prevent you from walking. So the suit is, when you go after your soul desire, all of your karmic and conditioned self will pop up to try and stop you. Now, it's not going to send you a postcard and saying, hey, you're about to achieve your soul desire and I don't want you to. It's going to come in all kinds of different forms. It's going to come in fear. It's going to come in all kinds of problems come up. You'll have money problems. You'll manifest money problems. Or you'll manifest people in your life that will judge you. Like the guy that was just on here, whoever his name was, that Truth is Freedom, Florida. I mean, I don't know, but my belief is that what I was saying was pushing his buttons and, going against his suit. And, he didn't have anything positive to tell us. All he had to do was tell everybody how wrong I was and deluded I was. That's another thing that'll come up. I mean, and it's hard for me. I mean, I see that. It hurts me when I see that. I don't like seeing that. I want everybody to love me. That's part of my suit. I want everybody to love me. I want to be famous, and I want everybody to think I'm the greatest thing in the world and all of that. And, what the suit does is that I don't hear and see a lot of times all of the people that do. The one guy who knows nothing about me, who's completely responding out of his own projection. I can tell you something else about that guy. Truth is Freedom, Florida. That is somebody who is destined to be a teacher but is fighting it. And they judge themselves. They don't think that they're worthy, or they don't think they know what they're doing. And so when they see somebody who is boldly, saying something, it makes them, they project onto them their own feelings. So everything that guy said about me is how he feels about himself. Because someday, maybe not in this lifetime, hopefully it will be, but in some lifetime, that person will get honest and surrender, as I had to do in this life as well, to being a teacher. But until then, he's going to judge everybody. He's going to shake his finger and say how nobody else knows what they're talking about. And, that's sad. That's why I feel nothing but pity for the guy. So, you need to practice discipline in order to have the strength and the awareness to take action on your soul desire, because your karmic and conditioned self, the suit, is going to try and block you in all kinds of different ways. So you need to have the discipline to follow through. Let's see. Somebody wished me a happy birthday. Thank you very much. Let's see what else. Thank you, Light and Darkness, for the birthday well wishings. Light and Darkness asks, is enlightenment merging with the source? I got nothing against that. I've merged with the source. I'm not sure that I'm enlightened. Let me give you my definition of enlightenment again. Perhaps you're coming on to this late. I've already given it, but I'll give it again. Enlightenment is having full knowledge of all of your thoughts, feelings, and impulses, both positive and negative, pleasant and unpleasant, righteous and unrighteous, good and bad, constructive and destructive, having full awareness and feeling them fully in your conscious awareness, being fully consciously feeling them and aware of them and feeling all of the impulses behind them, and yet taking constructive action towards your best and everybody else's best interest. That's enlightenment. You can't get anything beyond that. So if merging with the source gives you the ability to do that, then you're enlightened. But what you're talking about is really moksha, is escaping the matrix. And most people, when they go after enlightenment, they want to merge with the source. Most of the time, or at least maybe I'm just speaking for myself, my reasoning was to get out of my uncomfortable feelings. And so that's why you have the love and light crowd. People say everything is love and light and I don't go down to those negative places and I won't be dragged down. It's because they can't tolerate their negative feelings, and they probably feel shame for all of their negative feelings. And they were probably, their parents said things to them like, you better wipe stop crying. Wipe that frown off your face. I'll give you something to cry about. And so people then turn into these love and light crowds. They smoke a lot of weed and so that they don't have to feel their feelings. And I don't go down that route. Most of the time when people talk about merging with the source and achieving enlightenment, that's really what's happening. They're wanting to escape those feelings. But I know a lot of people who have a conscious feeling of being full of bliss and love, who are really passive aggressive, who are really controlling. They'll show up at your house, with a book in their hand, and it'll be some book, or they'll be at the airport, singing and dancing to whoever their deity is, and they'll be telling you that you need to be part of their deal because you're not good enough the way you are, and you have to be part of their religion in order to be okay. And we're happy all the time, and they're full of crap. They're not happy. They're just running away from those feelings that they don't like, and those feelings will come find them at some point. That's why religious people are so hypocritical. Because at some point their negative feelings catch up to them and their negative impulses catch up to them, and they have to act on them, and then they have to hide them, and then they run around telling how full of happiness they are. So no, in my estimation, enlightenment is not merging with the source, because you are the source. The idea of merging with the source assumes that you're separate from it. That's Christianity. You are separated from God by sin. No, you're not. You are God. If you saw me earlier, I talked about when I was 7 years old, I dreamt that I went and saw God, when really what happened is I merged with my soul. So I can tell you from that experience that infinity is already here. You're already there. You don't have to merge with it. You're not separate from it. You just have to realize it. This life is a video game illusion. When you can wake up within the game, I haven't used that term in a while, but when you can wake up within the game, then you learn how to get everything that you want. And then you get to learn how all of your negative thoughts and feelings, even though you have them, you go, wow, that's part of the suit. But you have to feel it. When you're wearing the suit, you feel it. So is enlightenment merging with the source as in moksha? Moksha means escape, means liberation. Moksha means freedom from reincarnation. It doesn't mean merging with the source. If you want to achieve freedom from reincarnation, the way to do it is to achieve your soul desire to such a degree that when you leave this earth, all of your physical, emotional, relational, and spiritual desires have been met. When you have achieved all of your desires in every single area, physical, have you had enough sex? Have you eaten enough good food? Have I surfed enough waves? Have you played enough video games? Emotional, have you achieved happiness and contentment and fulfillment by giving yourself all the things that you want? relational? Have you been able to have love? Have you been able to give love? Have you been able to be your authentic self and learn who your authentic self with is, while letting somebody else learn their authentic self, because you guys are fighting every other day because you're trying to figure out how to connect? Have you had friends? Have you achieved all of that, so you've done all of that? And then have you had your spiritual awakening, where you have done the work and done the psychological self-awareness and the spiritual work to achieve connection to yourself, and there's nothing left because you're just so happy. And you say, this world has been so much fun, but it's like, imagine, how many times have you gone to Disneyland? And, have you ridden every ride in Disneyland? Somebody who loves Disneyland. And when somebody says, yes, I've done every single ride on Disneyland so many times and it's been so much fun. And let's go to Magic Mountain next. That's moksha. I'm saying that with intensity because it bothers me. It bothers me that people think that they need to achieve that they want to escape this life. This life is so much fun. It's so much fun. It's so amazing. I mean, just go out and, look at a bird. I mean, just for this reason. When I look at birds, this is what I think sometimes. Do you know that birds are dinosaurs? They used to lumber around on the earth, and then there was all that, the whatever. They evolved. They fly. But they're dinosaurs. They've become these, and you listen to the way that they chirp, and, you hear this beautiful song, and the songs are so, like, meticulous and individual, and it's like you listen to all that, and it's like, wow, they came up with these, you know how many millions of years, they've been on this planet much longer than humans have. But how many millions of years did it take for them to come up with that specific song? That kind of stuff, that'll amaze me. That's so amazing to me. When I walk on the beach, and the sand here is like talcum powder. It squeaks. It's not like the sand in Hawaii or even in California. The sand's a lot thicker there. You can see, you pick up individual little rocks. Here it's like talcum powder. This is the oldest land mass on the planet. The Australian continent was the first continent to come up. It's so old that there's no mountains. You might have little, like look like needles that come up because they've been here for so many millions of years that, the core of that mountain has whittled away and there's just this needle, sticking up, and people call it a mountain. It's the oldest landmass on the planet. I mean, the animals here have evolved into completely different ways than anywhere else on the planet. How can you not just be so amazed by this world? It saddens me if you're not, and I understand it. But that's your choice. You could make the decision to find the wonder in this life. Why do you need moksha? Who the hell needs it? Why? I'm not ready to leave yet. You're in Disneyland and the bus says, okay, Disneyland is closing. I don't want to leave. I haven't done, the whatever, Space Mountain yet. I don't want to leave yet. The only way you're going to achieve liberation is first you have to get to that place where you don't want to leave because you're having so much fun. If you need to leave because life is boring and miserable, that guarantees you're going to be here a long time. I think Tatwale Baba, I think that was his last life because he didn't need anything. And it wasn't because he was trying to achieve enlightenment or moksha, it's because he didn't need anything. He lived in a cave and he had, he wore diapers, and he didn't even need to meditate or do anything. He was connected to himself. He just loved being connected to himself. There's no reason for him to come back. He's achieved it. Is enlightenment merging with the source as in moksha? And if so, can you carry it with you after you leave this body? I don't understand the question. Why would when you leave the body, so it sounds like you're afraid you'll lose whatever you've accomplished. Does that sound like a fair universe to you? That after you've achieved whatever it is you're talking about here, that when you leave your body, you won't be able to take it with you? Does that make sense? I believe that the universe is a fair and just place, which is why I believe in reincarnation. Because if I didn't believe in reincarnation, then this is a pretty screwed up place, because there are some people that are having a good time and some people are born with no legs, and they have a miserable existence. And it's like, the only reason that makes sense to me is if that soul wanted to experience some limitation so they could experience and appreciate something that for their own self. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, I don't see a question here. I'm really looking for the questions. Alekia Patria, question. Which spiritual practice can I do to become lucky for becoming a professional roulette player? I'm just not even going to respond to the question. Alekia, I have shaken my finger at you so many times for not asking questions about what I teach, for clearly not spending time reading the books or doing any of the practices. It's just, when did I ever, are you trying to hurt my feelings? It really hurts my feelings that you think that that's something that I would, you obviously aren't paying attention. When have I ever said that I would ever teach anybody how to become a professional roulette player? When did I ever say that I can teach a spiritual practice to help you become you obviously don't have respect for me. You're treating me like any other dime store, psychic on a corner. I don't think you have respect for my channel either. So I'm not even gonna, I'm gonna delete the question. It's just nothing there. It would be one thing if you were new to the channel. This was your first time on here, but how many times have you been on here? And you keep asking me these kinds of questions. All right, so I don't see any more questions at the moment. The 90-day challenge is everything that I'm talking about. And again, it's one thing to do a lot of talking, and it's another thing to do the work. And so you get to do it with me. I'm going to take you through very specific exercises and meditations with me. You just hit play and follow the narration. You can watch me do it and do it with me. It's really simple. It's not any crazy kind of stuff. I just give you things that I would do and things that are really quick and easy, that open up different energy centers that are designed to get you connected to your soul. You want to know, I don't know what my soul desire is. This is one way to do it. And then I'm going to take you through a morning practice, a midday practice, and an evening practice. And then you're going to do each one of those for 30 days. And then I'll do 3 phases, and then you'll do 90 days. I can't guarantee what you'll get, but I will guarantee if you follow all of my instructions to the letter, I guarantee that things will change. Guaranteed. No two ways about it. It's impossible for you to do that and not change. And my goal is I want to find a more streamlined approach to help people create the life that they want. And I'm not going to lie to you. For some people, it's depending on how much conditioned responses you have, no matter how intense the suit is that you created with your parents, it may take a while. But I'm trying to figure out ways to get to the answer as quickly as possible, so that you don't have to spend any time spending decades and decades, but to be able to look at your resistance when it comes up and be able to tolerate the feelings and take action towards your true authentic self. So I'm going to keep refining the process, until I get it right, but the truth is, all the things that I teach work. It takes a while. For some people, it may take decades. I want to try and get it down so you can Do it as quickly as possible. So that's what this 90-day challenge is about. The other thing is, instead of selling you, like, as you can see, I don't have the lockdown package. It's still up. If you still want it, you can still lockdown.thunderwizard.com. But I'm going to phase that out. And I'm going to phase out, we'll see how this goes. So it's up to you how you guys respond. I'm going to start taking my my video courses, and I'm going to put them on the subscription channel. So instead of having to pay $500 or $1,000 or something for some big certification or something, you can just subscribe on a monthly basis, and you can get through whatever you get through. And if it works out that I have a lot more subscribers, then that'll help me. That'll support the channel. It's the best way to support the channel. And then I can spend a lot more time doing videos, and instead of having to sell packages and stuff like that. So I go to thunderwizard.com and look for the 90-day challenge, and subscribe. And if you don't like it, unsubscribe. What have you lost? All right, Lorena Greco, question: how often should I do the Odin Willie Way balancing meditation? How often? As often as you want. I mean, are you talking about the one that I do here? Because I teach you one. I just uploaded one here. I'm doing it on a daily basis. So if you're not, Lorena, if you're not already a subscriber, you can subscribe and do it with me. I talk you through it. You can do it every day if you want. So every day is a really, one of the ways to achieve immortality the way the Taoists do is that meditation, and they did it every day. And the idea is when you can do it every day where you actually physically see, the three ones, or Odin, Vili, and Ve, in front of your three centers, then boom, you'll go to another realm. So they did it every day. So how often should you? As often as you want. But if you do it every day, you'll start to learn how to become more aligned to your true self, and you'll be able to manifest your desires. Sometimes without having to do anything. You'll just think about what you want and it'll happen. Health and mind question: why are you always passive aggressive and narcissistic? Well, you know what? I'm going to say the same thing to you I said to the other guy. Why are you wasting your time criticizing me? How does that benefit you? Why are you putting the energy not only watching somebody that you think is passive aggressive and narcissistic, but why are you putting the time and energy, health and mind, into like that? Like that's your energy's going into just being critical. You're not helping anybody. I mean, how are you helping me? All I can do by listening to that is feel criticized. That's it. There's nothing about that gives me any way out. I just now feel attacked. I feel personally criticized. It hurts my feelings. It doesn't help me. It doesn't help you. It's not helping anybody else. So instead of wasting your time on my channel with somebody that you think is passive aggressive and narcissistic, why don't you go onto your channel and teach people how to be whatever the opposite of that is? Which obviously you are, because in order to see that in me, you must have overcome all that. I mean, certainly writing the word question and then asking that question isn't passive aggressive, is it? And it certainly doesn't take any narcissism to actually put the time and effort to write a question and ask that. So why aren't you on your channel helping others? So since my channel doesn't work for you, guess what? I don't like the way I feel right now. I don't like the way you've made me feel. It hurts. So since I'm only here to enjoy myself and make others feel better, and since you obviously don't think that I have something to teach you, I'm just going to block you from commenting. Now you can watch the channel as much as you want, and I have now saved you from the impulse to have to hurt my feelings. And now you get to sit with it. Hopefully you'll go and watch channels you like, and you'll go and tell other people how to enjoy their life. Now, Alekia Patria, now you finally asked a good question today. Anyway, you said, can it be my sole desire to become a professional roulette player? Is it possible? Yes. Do I think it's this scenario? No. So, Alekia, you're Hindu, right? Did you know that there are 3 sins that cannot be forgiven in one lifetime? Meaning you cannot work through the karma of 3 sins. One is rape. That's obvious. Another one is killing your teacher. That's obvious. You know what the third one is? Gambling. Gambling is a sin, is a karma you cannot burn off in this lifetime. So I can't imagine that that is your soul desire. There's a difference between your soul desire and, now that's what I've heard. I don't know how true that is. I suppose we could think about that, because what is gambling? You're trying to get something for nothing. The truth is that gambling is an addiction. People don't gamble for the money. People gamble for the high that they get off of it. The dopamine release and all that is what's happening when you do that. And taking drugs and going to Vegas and watching strippers might be entertaining, but it's not somebody's soul desire. So I don't believe that it's your soul desire. I think that's coming from your fear. I think you think money will make you happy. And it's coming from an addictive part of you. It's just like, you might as well be putting, well, no, it's not the same. I mean, obviously, but it's along the same lines as drug addiction. So no, I don't think so. If you say because I love casino games more than anything else I can think of. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's what's your greatest joy. It just means that your consciousness is limited to your lower reptilian brain. So, Alekia, you need help. You call me your teacher, but you really need help. You need a teacher, like somebody that you talk to. You need a guru that you can go and talk to, who will reflect back what's really going on, and you really do need that. Jacob Albright says some nice things. Thank you. Yeah, Alekia, what are you doing on my channel? You say that you don't have a religion and you don't believe in good or bad. You know that I know when somebody's full of shit, right? You know that I can see that. And I can tell you're full of shit. You tell yourself that. I don't believe in good and bad either, but I do believe in constructive and destructive. And, there are some people whose maybe it's their karma to be a professional gambler. But is it going to be their last life? I mean, if you want to throw this life away on that, go right ahead. Do I believe it's a constructive path? Most likely not. I don't sense from you that you have the consciousness. If somebody could explain to me and convince me that they had achieved a level of consciousness, like a true agori. Agoris drink and they engage in sex and other kinds of things like that, but they do it for a completely different reason, and they have an awareness of what they do, and eventually they get over it, and they work through that to learn about the negative, destructive side of being a human so that they can go past it. You're not talking like that. So anyway, I'm done with you for today, my friend. I really don't want to. I'm sorry. I don't know why you're on my channel. I don't know what you expect to get from my channel. Anyway, if that's what you want to do, though, go right ahead. I personally don't have an issue about it or a judgment one way or another. Well, let's see what else. If you have a question, do me a favor, write the word question. You'll also get my respect if you learn how to spell and have good punctuation. That shows me that you respect the language that you write and teach. But here's a question. Hey, I used to gamble. So you saying, is that so you saying? So are you saying I cannot work out the karma of that in this lifetime? I'm not saying that. I'm just telling you what I heard people say. I've gambled too. So it's not, I mean, I've been to Vegas a few times. I hate it. I won't go back. But I've gambled. So do I believe that? I don't believe that. I don't think that the handful of times that I've done slots or played blackjack, I don't think that's going to keep me from my next lifetime. I'm just telling you what they say. I mean, it's worth meditating on. It's worth meditating on. What is it about gambling that somebody would say that? It's worth meditating on. It's, gambling is investing in something that never comes back to you. It's an investment in, you're investing money that never comes back to you. You very rarely win. Gambling destroys people's lives. The addiction really can destroy your life. All right, what else? Anyway, let's see. Even if I didn't know, nice one for your work. You bring up a good point there. Now, the universe does work a certain way, which is oftentimes in many situations, if you don't know any better, you get a pass. But once you know, you're responsible. So now that I've said that, Alekia and A.D. Hope, now that I've said that according to some spiritual teachers, that gambling is a karma that can't be paid off, now that you know that, you are now, bound by that, and it's worth meditating on. When I had heard it, I really had to meditate on it. And I started realizing, like I said, energetically, you're throwing your energy away. You're throwing your precious energy, you're throwing it away. You never get it back. People who, like gambling has associated with it, drinking and smoking and stuff like that. But, like people who smoke cigarettes a lot, they get old really fast. People who drink a lot, they get old really fast. But you don't have to drink or smoke to get old really fast. Just whatever throws your energy away. Gambling is one of those things. Any of those kinds of addictions, worry, greed, any of those kinds of things, you keep investing in something that never gives you satisfaction or happiness. You throw your energy away, it makes you old and sick. There's a reason why I'm 57, and if I didn't have this gray beard, I know I could pass for 10, 15 years younger. The reason is because the way I live my life. And, I believe anybody can have it if they want. Probably genetics and good luck has a lot to do with it as well. But anyway, I don't see any more questions here. All right, so thunderwizard.com is the subscription site. You can subscribe at multiple levels. If you want to learn the mastery of shamanism, you can go. There's no way you're going to get through all of those videos, even at the lowest level. There's the manifestation mastery course, where I teach you a lot about how to interact with the universe. If you know that the universe, the matrix, is a functioning program, it's a living, functioning, like computer program. If you understand that and you know how to push its buttons, you can get it to give you everything that you want. You can learn that at thunderwizard.com. And then the highest level is this 90-day challenge. And I guarantee you, if you follow that, you'll change. To what level, I don't know. But this is also the best way to support this channel. And I never ask people to just, contribute for nothing. I always make sure that I give you something that I would want for myself, which I think, There are things I give you can't find anywhere, and this 90-day challenge is one of them. So go check it out. What's the worst that could happen? If you don't like it, you can unsubscribe. Maybe you can't buy a coffee every day for the next month like you normally do. Jacob Albright, question. All right, so whenever we have a question with an if, it means somebody might be trying to give me an assumption, which I may or may not want to co-sign, but let's see here. If a conceivably valuable person in my life is obviously disrupting my soul desire in a negative and harmful way, would it be more wise and or more beneficial to simply stop contact with the person, or would I learn more by carefully working through it? All right, that's actually a very good question. So we need to understand what soul desire is. So if you haven't watched it, again, go watch the videos on the shamanic. Here, I'll write it down. I've got a book, and I've got videos where I read the book and I talk about it. Watch that so you know what a soul desire is. But I'm right down the shamanic secret commandment to a perfect life. Go watch those videos, read that book so you know what it is. When you follow your soul desire, number one, it's going to bring you joy, it's going to bring you happiness, it's going to bring you health and prosperity and everything that is good for a human being to have. And when you follow your soul desire, you will also be helping everything and everybody in existence. All things, rocks, trees, planets, gods, spirits, ghosts, demons. Every single thing in the universe will benefit when you follow your soul desire. When you make your soul happy, everything else benefits. Now, they may not act like it's benefiting them. They may get upset with you. And that is part of you manifesting your resistance to your evolution. But even if somebody in your life gets upset because you choose a path that brings you joy, then even though they may leave you or you may have to leave them, it will still be the most beneficial thing for them. It can be challenging when you have things like children and things like that, because then you really have to think about it. But if you get really truly honest and you put the time and effort to get honest, you'll see that you following your soul desire, or you'll figure out what your true soul desire is. Sometimes, again, people mistake escape and entertainment. Like gambling is entertainment. Entertainment is not your soul desire. But some people mistake that for the soul desire because they mistake, physical, mundane pleasure for the joy of your soul. And when you've experienced the joy of your soul, you know the difference. So would it be more wise to simply stop contact? I mean, yes. Assuming everything you say is true, that you are wishing to follow your soul desire and there is somebody in your life that's disrupting that, then you only have one choice, which is to do whatever it takes to follow your soul desire. If that means leaving them and going no contact, then that's what you have to do. If they truly love you, then they are going to support you in that. And if they're not, and if they're getting in the way, then they are somebody you have a karmic lesson from. These are people that, listen, I've been married before. I know that they're, I've had deep, intense relationships with people who were there to help me realize my karmic conflict. So you're staying with them and denying your soul desire means you get trapped, and then that'll create karma for the next life. You'll have to work that out again, either in this life or in another life. But if you become aware, like, wow, my soul desire is to do this, and this person, as much as I love them, it's my father, my sister, my girlfriend, my husband, my wife, whoever it is, no matter how important they are, when you choose your soul desire over making other people happy or trying to live for other people's needs or desires, and even if that means, a horrific end of a relationship or disappointing them or having them be miserable, then you've won. You've won that challenge. It's like in a video game. You go up against the bad guy and you have to learn how to beat the bad guy to get the key. Right? So this is somebody who's come up in your life. You have to love them. And the thing to say is, I love you, but this is what I need to do. This is what makes me happy. This is what I believe I'm here to do in my life. And I can't do that and be with you. So unfortunately, I have to leave. But I love you. It's nothing personal. You may have to do that. So no, if it's a choice between sticking in a bad relationship or following your soul desire, if you have to make that choice, then follow your soul desire. Here's the other thing. If you're meant to be with somebody, there's nothing you can do to stop it. Meaning that if you broke it off with this person and you are meant to be with them, you'll end up back together with them. You won't be able to prevent it. If you're not meant to be with somebody, even if they're a friend or a family member, there's no power in the world. There's nothing that you can do that will make it work. It won't work. At some point, it'll just be unworkable. And the universe will take care of you. You just have to trust. Your soul is everything. Gamzer Farzi question. I remember one time you said someone chanted the Uruz rune too much and had too much desires. What would be the side effect? I didn't say he chanted it too much. At least I don't think I did. What I said was he was chanting it a lot, and he had really strong sexual drives. I mean, he became really super horny. And it was getting in the way of his ability to function at school. He was still in high school. And so for him, it was too much. So there's no negative side effect. You will have, I don't chant the runes because when I do, my whole life becomes about them. When I did the series on the runes, if you go again to thunderwizard.com and you subscribe at any level, you'll have access to the shamanism course. And then I go through each one of the runes. And every time I did a video on just one rune, my whole life became about that rune. I mean, and it was really intense. But that's just, the runes are just, getting you in touch with that power, and your limitation is what makes it uncomfortable. This guy I was talking about, if he had known, there are ways that he could have meditated and used that energy to create more power so that he wasn't overwhelmed with lust, but he used it for, his own physical and spiritual empowerment. But I mean, there's a reason I don't chant the runes every day. Especially Yuhuaj. I don't like being in conflict. Maybe I'll get to a level of awareness where I can chant the runes and they just flow through me and I don't have a negative impact. But, the side effect will be is that you will become aware of where your ego is or where your deficiency is or where your lesson is in conjunction with that rune. Grey Wolf question. Hello, Thunder Wizard. Can surfing or skateboarding be considered just an addiction to get some dopamine? Well, dopamine is part of life. Dopamine is part of sex. And if you're in love, and you're married and, you're making love to your wife or your husband, you're going to release dopamine and all kinds of other good things. There's nothing wrong with that. Can you get addicted to sex? Yeah, you can get addicted to sex, but it's also a beautiful thing. For me, I'm definitely addicted to surfing. I'm definitely addicted to surfboards. And every night I spend probably half an hour to an hour obsessing over surfboards I want to buy. So it's definitely an addiction. And I'm sure it releases dopamine and all kinds of other things. But, again, what is the question? Okay, you say the question came to mind because of the casino gambling. Well, casino gambling doesn't do anything for you. I mean, there's only so many people who can actually make a living doing it. But find those casino gamblers who also aren't addicted to cigarettes and alcohol and whose health is miserable. Maybe they exist. Maybe there's, But, surfing, when I go out, sure. I mean, it is an addiction. I get out of the water not because I want to leave, because I'm bored. Because I'll surf 24 hours a day. If I were physically capable of just like switching bodies, I would never stop. But what ends up happening is after about an hour or 2 hours, I start to get really tired to the point, and my shoulders get super stiff and I can't move anymore. So I have to get out of the water, and then I'm worthless for the rest of the day. I have to eat, and then I'm just all day. So it's really good for me physically. It's good. It's an incredibly healthy sport, and it's a lot harder than it looks. And the paddling around, I mean, you really burn a lot of calories, and it's an excellent sport. So the addiction has this sort of built-in safety mechanism where you can only do it for so long, and then you have to get out of the water, and then I go and it gives me an opportunity to go get a massage, because I have to get a full body massage, because like I said, my shoulders are all stiff afterwards. I'm 57, so it's like I really need to get a massage after that. And then I gotta rest. I can't surf for another 2 days. So even though I'm addicted, is it an escape? I mean, all I know is that when I do it, I am so much happier, and my work is so much better. This is how you're doing your soul desire. Your life gets better. When I surf, my life gets better. My videos are better. I'm a better teacher. I help people more. So just because something is addicting doesn't mean that it's destructive. There are destructive addictions. Like I said, dopamine is there for a reason. It's built in. You're supposed to feel good after kissing your wife or hugging your children. You're supposed to feel good when you accomplish something and you build a wall, or these are all things that make you feel good. Video games and gambling sort of short circuits that, and you get the benefit without any actual. You get the side effect without actually any real life benefit. And so that's why these things can be a problem. That's why, sugar isn't the greatest thing for you, but if you're living a caveman lifestyle, and all you've got is what you can find with your hands, and you find honey and you eat honey, guess what? It's going to be really good for you, because all the sugar, your body's going to take the sugar, because how often do you get to eat a handful of honey if you're just a hunter-gatherer? We have sugar at our command, so unfortunately we short circuit it. It tastes really good, our body loves it, but it's bad for us when we eat a bunch of processed sugar. Same kind of idea. What else? Nothing else? All right, nothing else. Speaking of, I'm talking all this food, I'm hungry, I gotta go eat. So that's it for me. Again, go check out the 90-day challenge, and look at, click all the buttons to see all of the options until you get to the Warrior 90-day challenge. But again, if you want to support this channel, subscribing is the way to do it. If you want to keep me on the channel, you want to keep me from, having to go and work some other job, or having to go gamble, then subscribe. And again, I'm going to try and make the Patreon channel the way to go. And instead of, like I said, having to buy a bunch of stuff, a bunch of money for things, you can go and subscribe at varying levels to get all the stuff you need from my channel. And hopefully that'll, I want the channel to grow. And I want my income to grow, so I can spend more time not only surfing, but doing these videos. All right, that's it for me. Thank you all for showing up. And let's a moment for all those who needed to criticize me. Let's hope that they find more constructive ways to express their truth in a way that's constructive to other people. And I'm going to try and do the same. I'm going to try and take my own advice. That's it for me, guys. I really do appreciate you all being here and all of your questions. I'll see you all real soon.